Hello, been a while. I'm convinced at this point I am the worst content creator of all time. I don't ever prioritize it as much as I would like to, and I put out videos once or twice a year. I stream every 6 months. I'm just so bad at this, but this is a long time coming. I'm gonna make this one kind of like short and sweet. Basically, I'm gonna talk about the X100V that I finally upgraded to this year and my honest thoughts about it. If you have watched anything on my channel, I was a big fan of the X100F, and I had that for a couple of years. I think I shot that for like 3 years. It became more of a professional seeming camera to me. I had it as a secondary from the get-go, with much more like major equipment for professional shoots. But then I started to notice that I just kept grabbing the Fuji over and over and over, and then I was put in positions where I was able to use it professionally. And I kind of forced myself, sorry, there's probably some noise outside, kind of forced myself to do it as much as I could to see if I could push it to its limits and see what I could get away with using it for. And I loved it. I used the F for everything. I've shot bands, I've shot like artists in studios, I've shot professional like headshots, I've shot landscape things that got printed, I've shot cars, I've shot a bunch of stuff with the F, mainly because I like the 35mm focal length, and if people hire me to do a shoot, it's because they like my style of shooting, which is a lot more natural and a lot more just like candid, I guess. But anyway, this year I was able to get into the V at a good price, which is going to be a major talking point, I think, about this. I kept my shutter button, the same lens hood that I've always liked. I just really like the look of this. So this looks the exact same, basically. A quick way that I tell is that this line has more red on it. So if you're ever looking at one at the front, that is the V, and then a skinny red line is an older version. So far, I like this a lot, for obvious reasons. But was it really worth upgrading? I made a video before when they announced rumors about this camera, and I'm pretty sure that I said in it that if it had better video quality, an articulating screen, a little bit better aperture on the lens, that I would upgrade. I think I had more points than that, but I think those are my major ones, and this has all of those things. The video is quite a bit better, even though I've used my F for little clips and stuff like that. This video is noticeably better. It's the lens is a bit sharper, and it does have the articulating screen to it. So if you're shooting either high or low perspective, then you can kind of see what you're doing. But again, is it worth it? And I almost want to say no, just because these are so hard to get. And I almost want to say no because people are basically taking advantage of like the resale kind of culture to find one and then try to make money off of it. And again, I didn't do that with this. I found somebody that was very reasonable with it. And then I was able to sell my Fuji to a good friend of mine for a good price instead of like needing to gouge some stranger to pay for this thing. But I see people, I live in Canada, so the numbers will be a little bit different from the States, but I see people in Vancouver trying to sell these things for like $3,000, which is just absolutely not worth it. If you could get your hands on an F for like $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, even 15, yeah, you're in a better spot. So the major differences I've already mentioned, but the things that I kind of struggled with, to be honest, is I didn't find this as consistent as the F right off the bat. And what I mean by that is I had my F pre-locked in. I had my in-camera settings, I had my film simulation, I had everything I really liked. And I never really had to change anything other than aperture on the fly. And it just always hit the way that I wanted it to. And then I got this one and I set it up what I thought was the same. I literally copied the settings. And for some reason, the photos didn't come out the same. I have a preset that I've built on Lightroom that I slap on everything. It's just my go-to, and that didn't do the same. It kind of had this different look to it where I was just like, did I really need to do this? Did I need to upgrade? And I struggle with that every once in a while, where I feel like I'm fine-tuning more often with this than I ever did with the F. Granted, this can do more. Like there's more film simulations, and it is better quality. But again, like I feel like what's happened with this camera as far as the popularity, just it not being available, it being discontinued due to a shortage of parts and manufacturing issues and things like that. I kind of want to like ease your process if you have been struggling to try to get this camera, that you might be okay to just find a used F and almost basically produce the exact same results. Especially if you are more of like going for a social presence, shooting some candid stuff with like friends and like just things around you. Even my F, I've shot at like a very high level, and I'm not tooting my horn by saying that. I was given amazing opportunities, and I included that camera, and it performed amazing. And this wouldn't do something extra than what that did then. So I hope that like helps kind of the decision making, because I do, even like sometimes when I'm walking on the street with this thing, some people will ask if it's the V. I was in California recently and I went into the Real on Melrose, and if for some reason the dude that I was talking to in there about this camera comes in here, that was like such a good conversation, because he noticed it and him and I went back and forth about this camera a little bit, and like I genuinely don't know that it's worth where it's at as far as hype and price. If you can get your hands on one retail used for a little bit less or whatever, then sure. But I actually didn't realize, but I've had every single iteration of the X100 series at some point, and I didn't really think about that until recently. But I had the X100 when it first came out as a secondary like travel camera, super good. I loved it instantly. And then I had the S, then I had the T, then I had the F, which I took a lot more seriously, which you guys have seen on this channel, and now I have this. And yeah, I mean, it's an awesome camera. It looks great, but like genuinely where it's gotten to as far as just hitting the resale market, like nobody wants it for what it is. They just want it to make, you know, a couple $100s off of it. I don't personally think that that is worth it. That's not really like a culture that I support anyway, but unbiasedly, I don't think this is worth spending $2,500 on a secondhand one, even if it's brand new in the box, when you could probably find a lightly used F for like substantially less, and you would get like marginally more out of this. So if I can put it that way, if you were to see it on a graph, it would be like, you know, price and performance or whatever. The F will be quite a bit lower, even though people are trying to gouge on those now too because of the popularity of this one. But you could probably get yourself into an F with not a ton of shots on it for a very good price, compared to getting a brand new one of these at like almost double the money. And that to me, I don't think it's okay, first of all, but I also just don't think it's worth it. Like I could still be happy with my F at this point if I didn't have this, now that I've used this. So nothing has stood out to me about this being incredible. I actually, I will say the Wi-Fi on this thing is worse. Transferring photos from this to my phone is harder, less consistent, and hardly ever works compared to how I did it on my F. The F was like instant. I pressed the button, open the app, I selected the images on my phone, and I would go import all, and it would go through every single time. This takes me like 20 minutes to even get that screen to show up because it's so inconsistent. So if you are on the fence, if you have, you know, like a used F saved on your Facebook Marketplace, and then you have one of these saved and they're an $800 difference, I truly don't think it's worth it. If you have all the money in the world, go for it. But yeah, my honest opinion is that I don't think it's worth that huge hype jump and that price jump. And that's coming from somebody that absolutely loves this camera, and I love the Fuji fixed lens system. I just absolutely love it. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I kind of wanted to just jump on here and give that peace of mind to some people that are kind of thinking about it. I still get comments on my old F videos asking if I have upgraded, which I have, and if I think it's worth it, and I kind of don't. But I'm lucky that, again, I didn't pay some inflated price for this, and I wasn't standing in line, I wasn't waiting months. I just stumbled across one and I pulled the trigger because it just worked out for me, but I got quite lucky. So yeah, I don't know. I would be fine with an F at this point, and that's somebody that shoots his camera at like almost a professional level pretty consistently. So if that helps you decide between the two, then great. Good luck. Have fun. Bye.